Hi, come on in. Grab yourself a cup of coffee or tea if you prefer that, and make yourself at home because we are going deep today. We are discussing a topic that has been in trend ever since human beings have been in existence. Love. More specifically, marriage. Gen Z and millennials, but more specifically Gen Z, are experiencing an epidemic of loneliness. This isn't me saying that. Multiple cultural survey reports from all around the world indicate that Gen Z men and women are experiencing loneliness at a scale that needs psychological intervention. Nearly 60% of Gen Z reports feeling lonely regularly. Welcome back to LPTV. According to a British historian, Faye Bound-Alberti, the word loneliness didn't exist in the English language until 1800. It was industrialization at the turn of 19th century that reduced social connectedness and gave birth to loneliness as we now understand it. So we know this isn't something humans wanted. Let's first establish that. We want to be in communities, we want to be married, we want to have kids. These are not my whims. This is what the data indicates. So let's get to the point. Millennials and Gen Z are not getting married, nor are they dating. There are multiple reasons for that. The biggest one is information, public perception, constant drip feed of information on how men should be and how women should be. People giving dating advice and marriage advice on TikTok. Everyone has these long lists of how each gender should be, should perform, should court each other, should talk, should spend money, should take care of the house, should be a provider, should be dominant, should be submissive. And this is just the bottom of the barrel. The truth is the list just continues, and with each progressing year, things only get added to the list. Like I said, it all comes down to public relations. Let's first talk about what men want and then talk about what women want, and I'm risking offending both genders in this video. First, men. The manosphere content such as Andrew Tate, HS Sticky Talkies, Nico, Myron Gaines drip feed into men on how they should be. So this whole red pill movement encouraging men to be independent. Naturally, you'd think this must be a good thing and men now understand their part in the society. However, the truth can't be further from that. Yes, these content creators engineer information in such a way that drives men to become independent, earn their own money, make their way in the world, but simultaneously broadcast this lifestyle of how they like to use women. They broadcast ideas of polygamy. A lot of them are open about having threesomes involving their spouse. Take a listen to this one.
If it doesn't happen on the first one, it will happen on the second one. So I heard you have a wife. Yeah, what about it? She's hot, and then boom, I'll show her a picture of Kristen immediately and go straight for the threesome.
Some say that they would never marry because women are no longer virgins, and few like Andrew Tate convert to Islam just so they can have multiple wives. So dear men, by all means, get their subscriptions, get a laugh at women's expense, buy expensive protein powders for yourself, buy their university degrees, do whatever pleases you, but remember there's a world beyond this. There's a world where, forget about a wife, you would need a woman or someone you can romantically or spiritually associate with and depend on to be standing beside you during family funerals, taking care of you, like if you fall ill, give you emotional support. Otherwise, man, this indeed is a very rich and sad existence. And we're seeing the manifestation of that all around the world by being the generation which is chronically lonely. Again, this is not me saying that, but the data. Yes, money can buy you a ticket to have 1 billion threesomes, but a desire to have a relationship is what makes this life, this long, full of suffering life worth living. Yes, many women would love to be domestic goddesses. I mean, why not? Who doesn't love waking up and not having to go to work? I know I do. And be able to wake up in a nice house, go for Pilates, eat great food, spend a lot of time with your kids. But the question is, are you that guy? Or do you have that kind of money? Or have you just subscribed to the idea of the manosphere PR? But really, you're just a minimum wage guy. So let me ask you another question, a very important one. Say if you did have money and you are actually rich, you wouldn't want to get married anyway, because the ideology you subscribe to argues against the idea of marriage. I mean, let's have a look at some of the things men in this space talk about.
Where's the logic?
Yeah, because men, right, we have to earn our value. Women don't. So a guy that has sex with a lot of women is doing something right. A woman that's having sex with a lot of dudes is doing something very wrong. We're not the same.
Very funny. That mindset
I'm sorry,
is very
what is that?
funny. I think it's a funny.
Why don't men want to get married? Why the fuck would a man get married today? Men wanted to get married when they got a virgin who listened. I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm telling you why men got married. Now they're saying, get married. Oh, you want me to go to Miami, find a girl who's been fucked by 35 dudes, then have a $10 million wedding for her to put on her Instagram. Why don't men want to get married?
Let's cover up the women. Cover up the women. The women are modest. They don't need to. Women, they don't even go to the same gyms in Saudi. There's no free mixing allowed. Even when you go to get Zamzam water, when you go to drink some water.
There's no winning. If you're rich, you must have multiple women, or you're a beta male. Or if you're poor, then you are a nerd and a beta male. It looks down upon a man who only has one partner when he can have multiple partners. So why have a massive expectation for such a domesticated wife? In either scenario, it's you who's dissatisfied with yourself. If you do have the money, you can't settle for one partner. And if you don't have the money, well then, you can't have a domestic princess in your life. Either way, Chad, you're lonely at the end. Now, let's come to women. Because things aren't the best on this side of the aisle either. Women, we too need to manage our expectations. Let's not lie to ourselves. We compare ourselves all the time. We compare our relationships. We care about aesthetics. We do. We need to take the blame on that one. We love the biggest diamond ring. We want a man who provides. We want a man who fills in multiple masculine roles that not just fit in our lives but also is comparable to the standards of the society. Take a listen to an American divorce lawyer, James Sexton, reaffirming this.
Like all day long, there is an idealized, stylized version of every single aspect of our life that is so much better than the gag reel that we're living. And we're watching it, and we're comparing ourselves to it and our partner to it. And we're going, how come my partner doesn't look like that? They don't look like that. Like all these videos.
Listen, it's a lie that we do things for ourselves. Most of it is done to stand in the society we're born in or in the society we want to live in. What we have done as millennials and Gen Z is rather stupid. We have filled the dating and the marriage world with a load of jargon that wasn't supposed to be there in the first place. We are a product of nothing but an active love PR campaign. Diamond rings, Valentine's Day, anniversaries, weddings are nothing but a billion-dollar industry with a large PR package. Huge hoardings, sponsored influences, TV shows, and movies all telling us how best to love. What boxes does love need to tick to find us? Excuse me, when did we wake up and decide that love or marriage is this huge business contract? Don't take it from me. Let's talk some stats, boys and girls. A 2025 Hinge survey of 30,000 daters found that 84% of Gen Z want new ways to build deeper and emotional intimacy, yet gendered expectations are actively holding them back. Yes, louder for the people at the back. Gendered expectations are holding the Gen Z back. Okay. So it is not our desire to live up to the aggressive messaging on both sides of what men want and what women want. At the core, we want to simplify it. We want something deep and meaningful. Another stat, 64% of women prefer a husband who earns more money than they do. 17% women surveyed nationwide say they are unwilling to date a man earning less than 6 figures. Meanwhile, 64% of women rule out dating a man still living with his parents, and only 59% of women would date a man who doesn't own a car. A global survey by King's College London and Ipsos across 29 countries found that over 30% of Gen Z men believe women should obey their husbands, and a higher rate than millennials, 29%, Gen X 21%, and baby boomers 13%. A quarter think women shouldn't appear too independent or self-sufficient. Nearly 60% of Gen Z men feel they are required to do too much to support women's rights. Some Gen Z men, rather than pursuing real connections, become more absorbed in online gender discourse than in actual women. They love to engage in talking about abstract women archetypes they've been reading online than actually engaging with real women. Okay, so let's unpack this. What is this world we're making? Why is everything aesthetics and a spectacle? Why is everything for the internet? Who are we proving and what are we proving? This is real, you guys. The loneliness epidemic is real. It is not real because deep down a big laundry list is what we desire in the world. Day in, day out, we have this strong messaging about what love is, what expectations of love should be. Everything that we see in the world is a hoax. Ask yourself truly, after a tired day at work or university, do you actually want a million things, or do you want to be able to sit with your partner or your best friend? A witness to all that you've been through, to be weird around them, to be able to cry, to be able to laugh, and just for a moment in time, be human. Listen, I've studied public relations and worked in PR to know that there are agents who are probably worth $1 million to study patterns, behaviors, men and women's pain point, and present to them in such a manner that you can't help but subscribe to this. Think about the Diamond campaign. For those who don't know, let me take you back to 1888, when a British businessman, Cecil Rhodes in South Africa, founded a company, although a more appropriate word would be a cartel. Now, this company had access to a vast supply of diamonds from their mines in South Africa. This establishment was built on an insight that diamonds only have value if people think that they are rare. Evidently, they wanted to maintain that illusion in order to manipulate global supply of diamonds. Just a side note, this man Cecil Rhodes is also one of the most controversial figures in the British colonial era. He obviously used these profits that he generated from the diamonds to expand the empire in southern Africa. After all, where do you think the name Rhodesia comes from? It's Cecil's last name, Rhodes. The name Rhodesia, which is present-day Zimbabwe and Zambia, literally came from him. Later in 1900s, Ernest Oppenheimer took control of the business, and the Oppenheimer family ran it for decades. Now this company, De Beers, controlled 80 to 90% of the world's diamond supply. Let's make a jump to 1940. Keep in mind, this rock, this consolidated shiny rock, had no association with love, engagement, or marriage. Therefore, I want you to be alert on understanding that our desires are mapped out by the monopolies who want to make money and are fed to us as holy gospel. Just remember that as I tell you the rest of the story. In 1938, the diamond sales were collapsing due to the Great Depression. As most of these stories go, naturally, they hired a New York advertising agency to give diamonds a more elegant branding. So in 1947, a young copywriter, Francis Chiretti, came up with this slogan, "A diamond is forever." Once they made diamond as an eternal symbol with the help of movies and Hollywood, obviously, they doubled down on the marketing campaign by telling men to spend 3 months worth of salary on diamonds if they truly loved the woman and wanted to marry her. Take a listen to their 1997 ad campaign.
else could 2 months' salary last forever? A diamond is forever. De Beers.
Let's understand the ramification of this propaganda. I say this because I deeply in my heart believe human relationships, in whichever form they come, are sacred to me. I always judge my life from the end point, which is death, to give myself a little clarity on what actually matters, because so many feelings we naturally have towards things have been socially engineered into us as a result of everything being a PR, everything being a social experiment. It just gives me a bit more perspective. Anyway, like I said, let's understand the ramification of this propaganda around the world. De Beers ran an advertising campaign in the 1960s and 70s, convincing Japanese women that Western-style wedding and a diamond ring was aspirational and modern. In 1967, only about 5% of Japanese brides received diamond rings, but by 1980s, that had skyrocketed to 60%. In India, by 2010, De Beers estimated over 30% of middle-class Indian grooms who were buying diamond rings, a tradition that had not existed a generation before. 90% of American brides today receive a diamond ring. Now, I don't quote that as a bad thing, ladies and gentlemen, but let's just zoom out. This idea that a man's love should be measured by what he spends on a stone is a little heartbreaking, don't you think? Would it be worth it if your partner is stressed or doesn't have those resources but loves you in every other way? I mean, let's talk about me. I would love a big shiny diamond ring on my finger, absolutely. But at the end of the day, I put that value on the diamonds. I made it important to me because someone spread a lie that diamonds are rare. Diamonds are rare is a myth engineered by one colonial company which built an empire on the backs of exploitation and invasion. I want to be very clear that I'm not taking sides between men and women when it comes to why Gen Z and millennials are lonely, why they're not dating, or if they're dating, why they're pushing marriage, because they want big weddings, big rings, big house. Why can't we just marry in our back garden? I don't see why not. And if not, why not? The wedding industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry worldwide, and we have made that spectacle possible. This is another video of James Sexton on the Diary of CEO podcast. Take a listen.
Actually care what it is. We care what it looks like. That's why so many people that 3 weeks ago were hashtag blessed, hashtag best wife ever are in my office having a consultation and are having an affair and are having, because underneath that air of, and by the way, how many celebrities?
Now coming to my dear men. You know, growing up, I used to feel that women are easily influenced. And what I've found is that men are just as easy to persuade. Look at some of the content that young men take inspiration from. They, unlike us, don't need a massive ad campaign. They just get online and chronically subscribe to this manosphere where they base their perception of reality. What happens next is the horror of men and women hating each other, competing against each other, one-upping each other. Another horror is that young men start looking at women as OnlyFans models, or as hyper-domesticated girls, or a docile girl who'd allow them to sleep with other people. This dark road pathologically leads to depression, drug use, loneliness. Just look how much PR influences not just our daily lives, but the very basic desires of love, lust, sex, and faith. On today's big question, why are Gen Z not getting married or not dating? The answer is not a solution, rather a sad reality. According to the Marriage Foundation's analysis of UK Office for National Statistics data, roughly 4 in 10 Gen Z in the UK will never marry at all. In America, Gen Z is currently marrying at half the rate of millennials at the same age. By the age 25, only 4% of Gen Z are married compared to 10% of millennials at that age. The median age of first marriage of Gen Z is projected to reach 32 years old, and nearly half of Gen Z adults now say they may never marry. South Korea has the world's lowest fertility rate at 0.75 births per woman. Marriage rates Theirs stand at just 3.7 per thousand people, among the lowest recorded for any developed nation. Researchers identified Japan as already in the third and the most advanced phase of the marriage decline. The proportion of people who never marry has risen to historic highs. South Korea is in phase 2, China is in phase 1. 25% of Gen Z individuals have already rejected the idea of marriage altogether. 47% see marriage as an outdated institution. 72% cite the cost of a wedding as a major deterrent, and 48% of Gen Z report their peers are delaying marriage due to economic insecurity. If it is true that loneliness has become clinical and an epidemic among Generation Z, we should be worried about these stats and see where this world is headed. There will come a time where we be responsible for answering our next generations about the world we leave behind. We could either be the most forgettable generation, just a flick of a reel and gone. We could be the most materialistic generation who perhaps leave behind clothes, cars, and a Birkin. Or we add value to our story and live a principled life. Live a life where we leave our kids with values and stories of love rather than teaching them how to get ready on Instagram or to become manosphere guru. Come on, we're better than that. Think about it. I'm not just talking about dating and marriage in general. What would we leave them with? These hyper idiosyncratic PR stories which tell us how to live our lives? Or do we leave them with something real, something concrete to hold on to? We're creating more rigidity and animosity among both men and women. Hello? We're supposed to be friends. We need each other equally. So Gen Z and some young millennials, what will be our story? What would it say on our grave? In the loving memory of ... Think about it. Anyway, have a peaceful rest of your week, and I'll see you again very soon.